Hey guys, hard to believe that it's already Thursday of this week. Wanted to get on here and do our daily video. So I'm going to start by going over the answer from Nancy Goes Fishing, which was our story from 2 days ago. So I gave you 2 days to get answers in for that. Went ahead and took all of the answers that I got and put the names in the jar. So I'll draw for that to get started. And Isaac is our winner from the Nancy Goes Fishing story. So congratulations to Isaac, and I will make sure that I get something in the mail to you today, Isaac. So check your mailbox the next couple of days. The question that I asked on Nancy Goes Fishing was I asked what genre of fiction was Nancy Goes Fishing. And so I gave the options of fable, historical fiction, and fantasy. The correct answer is fable. Fables usually use animals to teach a moral or a lesson. And so in the case of Nancy Goes Fishing, they were teaching the moral or lesson of that, being lazy is not a good work ethic quality. So the correct answer was fable. Remember, for it to be historical fiction, it would have had to have actually included some facts from history that were true. So for example, if I wrote a story about people who lived during the Civil War, if I made up the story, but it had the true part of the Civil War, since that was a real account in history, that would make it historical fiction. There was not anything from Nancy Goes Fishing that was true from history in the past. It also was not considered fantasy, because usually to be considered fantasy, you have magical elements and like mythical creatures. And so these were just regular animals. There was no magic or mythical element there. So the answer for Nancy Goes Fishing is that it is a fable. Okay. Now, the story that I'm going to read to you today is called The Legend of Bluebonnet, and it is an old tale of Texas, retold, and the author is retelling an actual story, an old tale, and the author also is the illustrator, and it is Tommy DiPola, I believe. Okay. And it is a Native American story. So, The Legend of the Bluebonnet. Great spirits, the land is dying. Your people are dying too. The long line of dancers sang, tell us what we have done to anger you. End this drought. Save your people. Tell us what we must do so you will send the rain that will bring back life. For 3 days the dancers danced to the sound of the drums, and for 3 days the people, called Comanche, watched and waited. And even though the hard winter was over, no healing rains came. Why might rains be important to the Native Americans? Drought and famine are hardest on the very young and the very old. Among the few children left was a small girl named She Who Is Alone. She sat by herself watching the dancers. In her lap was a doll made from buckskin, a warrior doll. The nose, eyes, and mouth were painted on, and the juice with the juice of berries. It wore beaded leggings and a belt of polished bone. On its head were brilliant blue feathers from the bird who cries, J, J, J. She loved her doll very much. Soon, She Who Is Alone said to her doll, the shaman will go off alone to the top of the hill and listen for the words of the great spirits. Then we will know what to do so that once more the rains will come and the earth will be green and alive and the buffalo will be plentiful and the people will be rich again. As she talked, she thought of the mother who made the doll, of her father who brought the blue feathers. She thought of the grandfather and the grandmother that she had never known. They were all like shadows. It seemed long ago that they had died from the famine. The people had named her and cared for her. The warrior doll was the only thing she had left from those distant days. The sun is setting, the runner called as he ran through the camp. The shaman is returning. The people gathered in a circle, and the shaman spoke. I have heard the words of the Great Spirit, he said. The people have become selfish. For years they have taken from the earth without giving anything back. The Great Spirits say that the people must sacrifice. We must make a burnt offering of the most valued possession among us. The ashes of this offering shall then be scattered to the four points of the earth, the home of the winds. When this sacrifice is made, drought and famine will cease. Life will be restored to the earth and to the people. So a drought is when there's not enough water, and a famine is when there's not enough food. So since they're having a drought, chances are the Native Americans can't grow the crops and the food that they need. The people sang a song of thanks to the great spirits for telling them what they must do. I am sure it's not my new bow that the great spirits want, a warrior said, or my special blanket, a woman added, as everyone went to their teepees to talk and think over what it must be that the great spirits are asking for. Everyone, that is, except she who is alone. She held her doll tightly to her heart. You, she said, looking at her doll, you are my most valued possession. It is you that the great spirits want. And she knew what she must do. As the council fires died out and the teepee flaps began to close, the small girl returned to the teepee where she slept. The night outside was still, except for the distant sound of the night bird with the red wings. Soon everyone in the teepees was asleep, except for she who is alone. Under the ashes of the teepee fire, one stick still glowed. She took it and quietly crept out into the night. She ran to the place on the hill where the great spirits had spoken to the shaman. Stars filled the sky, but there was no moon. Oh, great spirits, she who is alone said, here is my warrior doll. It is the only thing I have from my family who died from this famine. It is my most valued possession. Please accept it. Then, gathering twigs, she started with a fire with the glowing fire stick, and the small girl watched as the twigs began to catch and burn. She thought of her grandmother, her grandfather, her mother, father, and all of the people, their suffering and their hunger. And before she could change her mind, she thrust her doll into the fire. She watched until the flames died down and the ashes had grown cold. Then, scooping up a handful, she who is alone scattered the ashes to the home of the winds, to the north and the east, and the south and the west. And there she fell asleep until the first light of the morning sun woke her. She looked over the hill, and stretching out from all sides, where the ashes had fallen, the ground was covered with flowers, beautiful flowers, as blue as the feathers of the hair of the doll, as blue as the feathers of the bird who cries, J, J, J. When the people came out of their teepees, they could scarcely believe their eyes. They gathered on the hill with she who is alone to look at the miraculous sight. There was no doubt about it. The flowers were a sign of forgiveness from the great spirits. And as the people sang and danced their thanks to the great spirits, a warm rain began to fall, and the land began to live again. From that day on, the little girl was known by a new name, one who deeply loved her people. And every spring, the great spirits remember the sacrifice of a little girl and fill the hills and valleys of the land, which is now called Texas, with the beautiful blue flowers, even to this very day. And there's a little note at the back, and it just talks about the bluebonnet flower, which is the state flower of Texas. So this is a tale that was made up to kind of give reason to why the bluebonnet flower grows in Texas. Okay, I'm actually going to have you use a skill that we have used a couple days ago on a story. I want you to summarize this story for me. You can use somebody wanted but so then, or this time if you would prefer, you could use first, next, then, and last. Okay, so just kind of summarize back for me what happened in this story. You can either use somebody wanted but so then, or you can use first, next, then, and last. Okay, and remember, think about a summary as a way that you could tell someone else about this book who maybe had not had the pleasure of reading it or listening to it read. Okay, so I look forward to seeing your answers for that. And I look forward to seeing those summaries tomorrow when we come together. I will be drawing an answer from the Little Island story. So if you have not yet gone to that one, I have not drawn for that. I'm not going to draw that till Friday, so tomorrow. So if you'd like to catch up on that one as well, okay? I've gotten some really wonderful answers back from you guys, and like I said, I'm really enjoying doing this, and I'm really enjoying picking out stories for you, so I hope that you're watching and that you're enjoying as well, okay? Have a good Thursday, and I will see you tomorrow.